Good morning to all of you. I am Dr. Sanjay Chorudia, founder, president and chairman of Suryadatta Group of Institutes. We have established this foundation in the year 1999 with a clear vision and mission to impart good quality education to one and all, irrespective of the caste, creed, financial, economic background, to all strata of the society. So far, we have around 7 institutions which are affiliated to Savitribai Phule Pune University, a very renowned and esteemed university in the world. And we are really happy to be associated with such a prestigious university. First of all, I would like to thank you, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, the Pro-Vice Chancellors, Registrar of Savitribai Phule Pune University, the Dean of Academic Faculty, Science Faculty, Commerce Faculty, Deputy Registrar Academics, and all the team members for giving us this opportunity and giving us this affiliation to start this very prestigious course in today's world, namely BSc Cyber and Digital Science. In my opinion, everybody is talking today about digitization, and digital transformation. In this era, particularly, we are talking about the digitized world or globalized world or competitive world or challenging world. I think more number of devices than the populations are in existence, and they are increasing in geometric proportions. So need of such course is really essential. And I once again thank on behalf of Suryadatta Education Foundation, all the faculty members, staff members, teaching, non-teaching staff members, associates, stakeholders for giving us the support since inception till today. And also the Pune University, once again, I thank for giving opportunity to launch this prestigious course from academic year 2020-21. This is the first batch, and I think this is the first course which is being started from this academic year. So once again, thank you all.
Very good morning to all. It's indeed a pleasure to be part of this launching of a new program under the auspices of Suryadatta Institute. And basically the topic is very relevant. We all know that cyber security has been basically a buzzword in the recent past, more than a decade now, because we all know that everything that we do in an electronic mode, we get logged, and the data get to a great extent stored as such. And this data is of prime importance as such. So whether it is basically WhatsApp, whether it is Twitter handle, whether it is your regular email, whether your bank account, everything. So all this is been getting stored in a digital form, and this is what is the beauty. So accessibility has increased considerably, but at the same time, safety of such data is of also very prime importance. We have been hearing about the digital transformation. In fact, during the COVID time, in fact, because of the various different protocol that I have imposed upon, keeping physical distance, then beside that, basically everything doing digitally. Even the education has to a great extent, we have to get transformed ourselves and go for online teaching. And this is, in fact, is been happening in many institutes. And in such a time, basically, obviously, the data of individual person or whatever he does, that particular data needs to be secured. In fact, there are various different areas wherein the data security is must, whether it is defense, whether it is banking, whether it is economics, whether it is business, whether it is trade, and even including the education institutes, basically. And that's the reason many a time we have seen that on our own we developed our online system. The reason being that the student, the data of the student basically doing various different courses shouldn't land in the hands of some wrong individuals as such. And from that point of view, basically, this particular aspect has been looked into in great detail. We have been watching on the TV also in recent time, there are certain cases that are happening, whether it is basically within the country or outside the country, whether it is China. In fact, we have recently even heard that conducting Zoom meetings to a great extent would be little disastrous. The reason being, many times this data is acquired by or rather goes in the hands of the Chinese administration as such. So everywhere we've been talking about the importance of the data security as such. And from that point of view, how do we look at our data? Even sometime basically when you're occupying a particular position, generally we do not make use of the official email. Instead, many times we go for our private email. So even that is also not very correct. If I am sitting as a vice chancellor, obviously all correspondence has to happen through my regular email address, which is official and not a personal one. So even in that cases also, basically people are not very much aware about like how to maintain a particular protocol, a particular discipline in acquiring and in disseminating the data as such. And therefore, the very formation of this particular course is of prime importance. People find basically importance of this particular topic, as I mentioned in the previous part of it, that it is of importance in all sectors, in all scenarios as such. And therefore, making people understand about the nitty-gritties of the cyber security, the cyber related things is of prime importance, especially when the new education policy is coming and to a great extent is been approved by the cabinet very soon. In fact, it would come into practice. And in that also, basically, they're talking about the data and technological disruptions. In fact, they have formulated a separate body called as NEET, a National Educational Alliance for Technology, something of that kind, wherein they are to a great extent actually trying to promote the digital literacy. At the same time, they are trying to also promote the various different sort of rules and regulations of this particular game as such. And from that point of view, basically, keeping in the new education policy, this is a very wonderful beginning the Suryadatta Institute is making. They are starting a course which is affiliated to Pune University. The institute in itself is affiliated to Pune University. And therefore, I am very happy that such an important sort of a topic is coming in online mode, and people, especially the student community, will get hands-on experience as well as understanding about the importance of data and data security, and which to an extent will be covered under this particular course, the cyber security. So I wish every one of you a wonderful sort of a career, those students who are getting enrolled for this particular course, and to the institute, which in fact have thought almost, I would say, proactively, well ahead of time of establishing this particular sort of a course. So those who were involved in formulating the syllabus, those people who are associated, in fact, with this particular institute, the very chairman of Suryadatta Institute, Sanjay ji, then Sachin Itkarji, every one of them basically require a sort of a pat on their back for taking this particular thing forward. So once again, I express my heartfelt greetings to this new course, this new endeavor, and wish them all success as well as a success to all the students. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Sanjay ji, and thank you, Sachin ji, for inviting me on this board and being a part of the advisory council. Cyber security is a very, very interesting topic, and it's a very interesting development platform also. And the initiative taken by the Suryadatta Group of Institution is going to impact not only the corporate sector, the government sector, but also the IT sector in a very, very large way. As today, as what Vice Chancellor sir mentioned, can you hear properly? So as the Vice Chancellor sir mentioned that data is one of the critical aspect of data is one of the very critical aspect in today's time, and cybersecurity plays a very critical aspect in managing this data, whether it is in the business, e-governance, or in the military, defense, education field, or it can be even your personal data. As what Sanjay ji also mentioned, that today devices are going so geometrically very in number progression. We are unable to control that these flow of data, and these flow of data needs a cyber security control. And this cyber security control is happening through IT applications, algorithms. Today, if you look at some of the hackers in the world, they use multiple kinds of algorithm which is developing, every day some new algorithm is being developed, floated in the internet. And these algorithms are, hacking our data. You must have recently seen that during the COVID time, there was some of the fake, there were some of these fake news which was coming, fake notifications which were coming, and these notifications were issued or being issued from Ministry of Home or Ministry of Health Affairs. But when you actually checked it up, those notifications were fake. So cybersecurity plays a very important role in authentication. And this authentication is somewhat kind of policing, somewhat kind of forensic detection. So I would say cybersecurity is a complete management from operationals to policing to detection to forensic, and it's also a disruption because the moment you go higher into technology, this will enable you to make more, devices to be more compliant with cybersecurity. So this initiation taken by the institute is very interesting. Our students are going to learn in depth about the cybersecurity. There will be a lot of understanding as to how cyber attacks happen. How these would be able to prevent them, because we don't have such professionals in the country as of now. And these professionals will act as advisors, will act as developers to various corporates, IT industry, even government today. The e-governance is a very open field for cybersecurity. And government has so much of data to protect. So this initiation is very interesting, and I fully support this, and many congratulations for taking this forward, and all our good wishes to this, and thanking you, Sanjay ji, Sachin ji, for this initiative, and many congratulations. Thank you.
I must once again compliment Dr. Chodia and of course the entire faculty for having started something very out of the box, which is need of the hour. As the Honorable Vice Chancellor mentioned about data, today data is considered oil. And I think it's so important that we hear about data being stolen. There are issues of privacy, and that is where the cybersecurity comes in very big. As we know that to the last century, when there were tectonic changes in technology, apart from the chip, which itself got invented, and the IC, which was in around 1956 or so, we also had the internet, which initially started in the US Armed Forces, but thereafter UCLA started commercializing the internet, and that's how we all are using it. Today, we all are benefited by it, because even at the coronavirus, we are at distance and listening to various each other, and maybe possibly even seeing each other. And all this is possible while, as I mentioned, the coronavirus, where we hear stories about the vaccine being stolen from one country to another. So there are issues of so importance, and it's got economic, naturally, importance also. I must say that whenever human mind has used any technology, there is always the destructive part of the technology also which comes in. So when we had the wheel, that would give us mobility, but we also put that in chariot, and then we wanted to attack somebody else. So was the case of aircraft. While it has made each other join quickly, continent-wise, but then it has also got the bombs, and we saw what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And the same is the case with internet and all that wireless technology which has allowed us. Incidentally, wireless technology was invention of an Indian, Dr. Bose, way back in the late 19th century. And this wireless communication, VoIP, voice over IP, as well as video over IP, all these things are becoming even better as we move across to 5G and other spectrums. But then, as I mentioned, the destructive technology in terms of cyber attacks is also increasing by the day. You might have heard that in July, the second time Iranian nuclear reactor and various other facilities there was a big fire, and it was suspected that either the US or the Israelis had used some sort of a cyber weapon. And so was the case with Israel. Israel itself got hit in the same month when their water as well as sewage lines were affected, because today almost everything is networked. So network security becomes a very important hallmark in making sure that all these kind of attacks don't happen. And that's why I always call cyber as something, it's a weapon, but it's not visible. So I call it a weapon without a warhead. So you find that its distance, it's maybe somebody who's like Vice Chancellor mentioned about China. It could well be, though it is Chinese, but they're using some African countries from where, so there is a difficulty to try and find out exactly where the attack comes. So we got to do a lot of protection. And I heard the previous speaker, I think Mr. Bhatnagar, I got the name, I think he very rightly spoke about the forensic part of it. So there are lots of issues which this career will give. I'm sure that the students will benefit a lot from having joined this kind of particular science course. I once again compliment the Dr. Suryadatta, all the faculty, and Dr. Kasande for taking this particular initiative. All the very best. Jai Hind.